I don't know. Good morning, everybody. It's 9 o'clock. We'll call this meeting to order for the Iowa 911 Communications Council for Thursday, October 11th, 2018. We'll start with introductions. If we can start on this end here and work our way that way, and then if Donahue down there can take the mic out and introduce everybody, that'd be great.
Where's the big mic at?
Wayne Johnson, CenturyLink, representing large telco.
Blake DeRusciano, Homeland Security Emergency Management, 911 Program Manager.
Gerard Myers, Iowa Department of Public Safety.
Tracy Buren, Iowa NINA.
Jeff Anderson, Iowa Emergency Management Association.
Rob Rotter, Iowa County Sheriff, representing Iowa State Sheriffs and Deputies Association.
Mike Bryant, representing the Iowa Professional Firefighters.
Rob Dennett, representing the Iowa EMS Association.
Jack D'Angelo, Sully Telephone, representing small telcos.
George Griffith, representing the Iowa Peace Officers Association.
Lawrence Harpence, representing IJIC.
Will this work? That's close.
Kara Sorrells, representing Iowa APCO.
How you doing?
Mike Hoffman, Des Moines Police.
Jeff Edwards, Des Moines Police.
Chris Jones, Zetron.
Cody Brink with Raycom.
Jim Lundstedt with Office of Emergency Communications.
Brian Madewell, Westcom.
Joel Martin, Iowa Utilities Board.
Gary Johansson, CenturyLink.
John Drury, CenturyLink.
Steve Reams, GeoConnect.
Lori Hickok, Rapid SOS.
Tammy Rodriguez, ICN.
Stephen Rodriguez, ICN.
Chris Myers on the SWIC.
Andy Buffington, Hancock County 911.
Terry McClanahan, Dallas County Sheriff's Office.
Dina McKenna, Story County Sheriff's Office.
Amanda Roush, Story County 911.
Okay, do we have anybody on the phone?
Bobby Wells, Sac County.
Okay, sounds like we do not. All right, could I entertain a motion to approve our last meeting agenda? You have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. And then likewise for today's agenda?
Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
There are people on the floor.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let's go back to the people on the phone. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Can you introduce yourselves?
Brenda Vandervoort, Fayette County 911.
Cheryl Eckloff, Mahaska County 911.
Chris Ayer, Buchanan County 911.
Anybody else? Okay, thank you and welcome. Back to, do I have a motion to approve today's agenda? Motion and a second.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those against? Motion carries. Okay. Blake.
Good morning, everyone. Just diving right in at this point, 20 provided their notice of interest for the shared services. That's 2 extra from last month. Can you throw the slides up there, please, Sean? How about we do this? There we go. Okay. You can see the numbers up there that also indicate what additional functions and services folks are interested in. Hancock County is completed, finalized. If you remember last month, I said that we had kind of found an issue with the wire line, but that's been remedied. They're up and running. Jefferson, Poweshiek, and Mahaska counties are next up in the chute. So probably looking at those November timeframe, December timeframe. So you will be seeing, for those that work in PSAPs, you will be seeing a survey going out from ICN and Comtech to gather additional data. That's specifically on the wireline conversion, just needing some additional information from the PSAPs. And then with the Iowa APCO NENA being on a Monday and Tuesday this year, didn't really make sense to have a half-day program update on a Sunday or a Wednesday when no one was going to be there. So we'll just be doing a program update webinar on October 25th. The primary focus of that will be budgeting, local 911 budgets. If you kind of remembered, we've talked about some of the issues with the local 911 budgets the last couple of years. So John Parker from Department of Management will be with me on that webinar, and we'll be presenting and kind of going over some common mistakes, common errors, and as well as a program update. So I've sent that to the PSAP contacts. You'll want to try to get whoever does your budget locally involved in that webinar as well, if possible. It will be recorded, so if you can't make it, you can always go back and watch it later. Sent out the email to the PSAPs requesting the annual forms. Just of note, I know I brought it up in the past, but the attachment C, request for wireless funds, is no longer needed. The remainder of the forms are listed there, due January 1st into our office. The next bullet there, the National 911 Office released a report that was due to Congress regarding the cost estimate of NextGen 911 nationwide. It's about 334 pages. If you can't sleep, it's really good material. It's a hard read. Even just skimming it, it's a challenging read. But you can kind of see some of the takeaways just in my quick study of that document. That nationwide full implementation of NextGen 911 is around $16 billion. And I think one of the reasons that's key and critical is when you think about how much money has been put towards the rollout of FirstNet compared to how much has been put towards the rollout of NextGen 911, there's quite a big disparity. So it kind of also makes the case for increased staff and coordination at the national 911 office level. Right now, there's a staff of 1 with some contractors. So again, when you compare some of the other public safety things that have been rolled out nationally lately, there's quite a big disparity. So not really anything pressing that you need to look at or be worried about or anything. Just wanted to bring to your attention that report is out there. The GIS grant update. At this point, basically a quarter into the year, we've approved 43 counties for GIS grants, so not quite half of the state. For reference, at that point last year, we had only approved 19 applications. So the dollar amounts are a little bit different, but call it new math if you want to, but it's also it's basically half of the full grant that people are eligible for at this point. It's a little bit less. So when you kind of double that, in reality, we've spent more, or we're planning on spending more towards the GIS grant, and more counties have received the GIS grant at this point. So, at this point, you still have October, November, and December to receive your first $6,000 worth of payment. And then the next 6 months of the year, everyone is back on the board. The slate is wiped clean, and everyone is eligible for another $6,000 if they meet those benchmarks. To put it on a map, you can kind of see which counties have received the grant thus far. The current travel, public education, and training fund, we did start to pay some of those out. So you can kind of see where we stand. One class did get canceled, so I put a little bit more back on the board. When that moratorium comes off in January, at this point, we're looking at about $12,300 remaining. That's if everything else comes in on budget. At this point, I have gone back and looked, and there's about 1,300 people that we have trained through this fund. Now, I'm sure some of those are repeats, multiple people going through multiple courses. But when you look at the sign-in rosters of the classes, it's about 1,300 people that we've trained through that fund. I think that's a pretty good number to talk about. Forgot to talk about this last month, so I wanted to bring it up. We had talked about amending the current council policy on training specifically. I've sent out the language, got a little bit of feedback back through email. Didn't put it as a formal agenda item on the council agenda for this meeting, but we probably do need to get something figured out prior to January. This is my proposed language. It's additional language on the policy that already exists. And it basically spells out the minimum number of participants and just some more guidelines onto the existing policy about travel. Was there any discussion at this point, or you want to list it as a agenda item for next month, or?
I think next month would probably be better, yeah.
Okay. I'll send it out again in preparation for next month then too.
Okay, thanks.
Talked about the ISIX consulates for a few months now. You should have seen an email from the SWIC earlier this week. Kind of looks like that screen grab on the right there. Basically, it went to all the PSAPs with options to request either Harris, Motorola, or other base station, consulate, whatever you'd like to call it. It'll be delivered, the concept that the ISIX board came up with, it'll be delivered ready to use, pre-programmed to your PSAP. If you want it embedded, integrated into your existing radio console, that cost will be on the local jurisdiction, but it'll be ready to use, ready to talk once it's delivered to you. It's a pretty quick, painless form, maybe 5 minutes. You just have to make a couple certifications that you're going to keep it ready to use, and it'll be yours to use. So I would encourage you to fill out that survey. I'm sure Chris will talk about that a little bit more, but wanted to give you our perspective. And finally, just wanted to update you again on the secondary ESINet routing. We have not done anything further on that. Really not hearing too much feedback. I don't know if that means everyone assumes we're going to do what we want anyway, or you're just hoping it goes away. But I did send the draft memorandum of agreement to the Attorney General's office for review. And what I have kind of come up with thus far is that we, the state, would have agreements with the 13 backup regional PSAPs, and then kind of rely on those sites to have backup agreements with their region. We'd provide a template. I'm not going to micromanage that process, and kind of rely on those 13 sites to get their agreements in order. We would, of course, make sure we get the agreements in place with the 13 PSAPs that are going to serve as the backups for the state. Haven't heard anything back from the AG's either, AG's office either. So still looking for any feedback here, behind the scenes, whatever the case may be. So a couple other presentations that are coming up. I know Stephen's going to talk a couple slides on the wireline aggregation and where that stands. And then Lori from Rapid SOS, we've talked about that a lot. So I wanted to let her provide an update on where that project stands. Steve.
Good morning. So really what I want to talk today about is the RFP. Last time I reported that it was going to go out the following week, which it did for the camera trunk delivery. We had a question and answers that was posted on October 1st, and it closes on November 5th. We did get some comments back in that Q&A, which is all posted on the ICN website, that they would like to see that extended. But as I reported last time, we were looking at 30 days. We extended it out to 45. If you go any further, then we start getting into holidays and that sort of thing. So we did decide to stick at the 45 days. Are there any questions? That's really what I wanted to report on today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is it up? Is it on? Okay, hello, I'm with Rapid SOS now. And so I'm actually just going to go through a little bit. I'm not a presenter, so if I get the puberty squeak, excuse me. But anyway, we are Rapid SOS, and we provide location information, accurate, fast location information for 911 callers today. So I'll go through this pretty quickly. There's quite a bit of information, but we are the next gen 911 clearinghouse. We are ENINA I3 compliant with our list and additional data repository. So we have our clearinghouse receives device location from Internet of Things, phones, wearables, connected homes, cars. We'll get to the Uber thing soon for the connected car, which is really quite cool. And so that's how we connect to PSAPs today. We go through the connected devices, through our clearinghouse, and then directly to the PSAP. We have full integration with many, many people. It continues to grow. We have an entire team just to work on integrations. So that's a good thing. You'll notice Zetron, Smart 911 here, Geocom, mostly in Iowa. So, and a lot of people coming, which is good. So the big question is always, why can Uber find me but 911 can't? There's many, many methods today on how people connect. There's cell tower triangulation, GPS, Wi-Fi access points, Bluetooth, barometric pressure, and I kind of like laughing, like, what is that? That's your Z-axis if you're going upstairs or downstairs. That can tell you where you are. Pedestrian dead reckoning, which is like the steps and all that stuff. Device hybrid uses all of those. So we use all of those things to provide location to the telecommunicators. There we go. So how does it work? From your phones, and today it is Android and iOS 12. Today the way it goes, oops, I'm stuck. Did it go? I'm stuck. Is it? Oh, okay. Oh, I does not on mine. All right, sorry. So today that's how it goes. The call process goes. It goes to the wireless carrier. It goes to the selective router. It goes over there. When you rebid, it comes back around. It goes to the mobile positioning center, and then back to the phone, and then back to you. So that's how it works today. That's kind of I would say, a high level how it goes. From our system, it goes directly from the phone to our clearinghouse to your telecommunicators. So that's really provides the fast location information that gets to you. Oh, there we go. So where does the data come from? Today it comes from iOS 12. That was released in September of this year. For it to work with iOS 12, you actually have to upgrade to iOS 12. So I believe I had heard they were about 30% of devices today have actually upgraded. By the end of the year, obviously that will grow, and by the end of 2019, they believe that everybody would be on it. So that's how it happens today. We also are working with Google and Android. About 50% of the Google phones have been turned up today. They are ramping up. So at some point, they will have all of their phones on as well. So that's pretty cool. That's what, 98% of the phones today have either Apple or Google or Android phones. So let's talk about Uber a bit as well, because this will come into the additional data. Today, which I love being a woman that travels, if I am in an Uber today, I can actually, there's the setting in the Uber phone, or the Uber app, I'm sorry, that you can actually dial 911 through that app. They will automatically get location information. So it will come to them through the Uber app, which, like I said, I love. We're actually on, sorry. So you can actually dial that. We have another option today. It's called Rapid Light. This is a free web-based service. You do have to type in the 10-digit number. However, you can get this today without doing any integrations. However, we do absolutely think that integration is the best way to go because you can put that into your workflow. But this is available today so that you can go and actually get information. This is kind of the sign-up process. I'm not going to go through that. It's pretty easy. You can configure it. You can have multiple admins. You can have multiple users. So you can set up one user account for your entire PSAP, or you can set up individual ones. So that's pretty easy, but I'm going to move. So here's the part that's pretty cool. You can type in Rapid Light, you can type in the address, and I'm not going to show you this one. Hang on. This is an example of what it will do. So playing video, is it playing? I can't tell. Sorry. How do I go back, Blake? Oh, there we go. This is an example. Oh, I'm not sure how to do this on yours. Sorry. You can hit, there's supposed to be a video. I know how to do it on mine.
Was it supposed to be typing?
No, it's actually there. It's embedded in this slide. When you hover over it. Do you know how to do that on your machine? Yeah, it's like you usually type here. You can maybe just do this. I'm a MacBook Pro user.
Sometimes going there.
Yeah, it's typing.
Is it playing it? Okay, good. It's not doing it on here. So actually, if you type in the phone number, this is going to show you how it breadcrumbs. So it's going to rebid on Rapid Light every about 5 to 6 seconds. So you can tell that she is on a train right now doing this. You can tell by the difference on how quickly it goes. So this is an actual test call. She was riding on a train in Massachusetts, and it was actually breadcrumbing her location. So we did that in comparison on I can't believe she did this. She put her husband in a canoe. I know. Oh, that's a fast train again. I can't see it on yours, sorry. Oh, this is the slow boat. So she put her husband in a canoe on a pond. And it shows you the exact same thing. You type in your number into the query screen, and this is her husband. I'm like, man, he was either going really slow or really, really slow, but you can see it also breadcrumbs. So that can give you an idea of your 911 caller and the speed that they're going, if they're in the train versus if they're in a canoe. I know, right? A canoe, exactly. So her poor husband. So this is the part that is pretty amazing to me. So for Uber, if you're in Uber City, which Des Moines could be an Uber City, Cedar Rapids could be an Uber City today, you get additional data. The amount of data that we have in our clearinghouse is just amazing. So on the additional data screen, you would actually get, when you called 911 from the Uber app, you would actually get make, model, color, license plate of the car. That would come to your telecommunicators in the additional data tab so that you would have much more information to be able to follow where your 911 caller is, which is really cool. There's a lot of data that's coming out. Wearables are ridiculous. This watch can tell me if I fall, I can dial 911. Can I try that, Rob, sometime? Test that out?
Hey, Lori, that's all the Rapid Light. What happens if it's just integrated?
So integrated, it depends on the integrator. Smart 911, Vesta, also has additional data. Geocom, some of the mapping don't, obviously. Some of the CADs will. So it depends on what integration you use. But yes, there are many that are coming up with new ways to do this. I've heard CallWorks is looking at ways to provide that additional data. So again, there's just a multitude of things that can happen with this data. It's just unbelievable when I look at it going, wow. You know, it can tell me and tell you where it's at. So today we just provide fast and accurate location. We do have additional data, automatic for calls in motion. So as you saw, any type of rolling domestic or anything like that, you would actually be able to breadcrumb it. And then it in locating abandoned calls, so you could actually go in, type in the number, and find that abandoned caller. So there's just a lot of data that is available. Rapid Light is 100% free. If you have internet, you can get it. So why not? I think that's it. Oh. Again, there's just some of our integration partners. And again, that list is growing and growing and growing every day. So I think that's it. I do have to tell you, Nate Vogel is going to be the new rep here in Iowa. We've kind of done a reshuffle after Reinhardt has taken on a new adventure. So Nate will be the contact here in Iowa. I'm actually going to be building a support team and a technical team to do some of the post stuff, but you can always call me. Y'all know me, so call me if you need anything. Oh, yes.
There was an announcement that wireless carriers were going to start using device-based hybrid. How is that different?
I don't know. I have not seen anything yet. I don't know what it's going to be. My thoughts on that is that's great. I mean, the more information that you can give your telecommunicators, the better it is. If you can save one life because you can find them, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of people that die because they can't be found. So if anybody can come and give you guys an extra tool, I'm all for it. Rob, you kind of seen it? Have you been getting any calls? Good, good. So yeah, so for those of you who have Smart 911, Zetron, go for it. Any other questions? I'm testing the phone. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, do we have any technical advisories from the board? Any from our partners? Okay, Chris Mears.
Don't drop it.
That's okay.
Thank you, and good morning. A couple of housekeeping notes. Regional ISIX training is complete. We're compiling feedback from those sessions. So again, I want to thank the council for their assistance with putting those trainings on. It's certainly appreciated. We're going to review some of the feedback we get, actually all of it, and kind of figure out where we want to go from here with trainings next year. We're starting to have some of those discussions already. So that's a good thing. As far as the board meeting today, we have two standards that are up for approval, along with the adoption of an encryption paper that started within our encryption subcommittee. That is something that was based off of some user needs that were conveyed to us. And basically the goal of this paper and adjoining letter is to compel the P25 steering committee to amend the P25 statement of requirements to include our requests in them. So they have a higher probability of being incorporated in a product, and then to also start a working project within the standard setting groups within TR 8.3. So I think we have a fairly solid chance of accomplishing that. If that paper gets adopted today, I'll be presenting that in San Antonio next week. So I believe that was sent out to a few stakeholder groups as well. So if you want to see it, I'm more than happy to send it your way. And if you want to throw some support behind it, feel free to. We also have another thing on the board agenda today with regards to renaming some of the regional interoperability talk groups. If you look at our current breakdown right now, everything starts with IA. We're actually looking at amending that, so the first two digits of the talk groups would be the R for region and then the number denoting the region. Everything else stays the same. The thought process there is that may make some of the talk groups a little bit easier to understand where they operate geographically. So that change is up today, and if that is adopted, it will be pushed out to stakeholders immediately. Figuratively speaking, we've got the fighter jets waiting on this one, and as soon as we have everything together, it'll be pushed out. We also have several training opportunities coming up. We have an ICS 300 and INTD, Incident Tactical Dispatching class in November. That INTD class was originally scheduled to be, I think it was this week or last week. We've had to move that to November for some logistical issues. That one is still taking signups as well. I think at last check we had 8. So if you have someone that would want to do incident tactical dispatching, we're doing that in Monticello. And the ICS 300 course will be in Mason City. Both of those are on the estate training website as well. We also, one last item for housekeeping, we've been scouting for new meeting locations for the time period when renovations are happening next year to the West Des Moines City Hall. Got a couple of geographic areas that are narrowed down that would be a minimal change from what we're doing now. The main thought is that, well, we got to see what the parking is like. We got to see what the amenities are inside of those facilities. And then also make sure that it's available on the dates that we would need. My hope is that we have some soft plans lined up for December. So I know it's going to get interesting with the holiday season coming up and people's availability, but my hope is that by the time December rolls around, I can come here and say, hey, this is the location, or at least these are 2 possible locations that we could start having these meetings at while this facility is renovated. I think the plan is to come back here once the renovations are done. So, as far as one other item of housekeeping, we do have a new administrative assistant with the board. Her name is Holly Davidson. She started on Monday. She's actually in the booth working with Sean today, so if you have a chance, go up and introduce yourself. She's got a lot of energy, so I think it's going to be a very good fit for us. Last item, and maybe this is the one that most people have been curious about, is that grant. Notice was sent out on Tuesday. It is live and ready for people to sign up. We've had 9 people or 9 PSAPs sign up to get one of those control stations or consulates as of this morning. Again, the goal of this is to, at a minimum, try to provide connectivity to PSAPs that don't already have connectivity. When we kind of had some of our surveys go out previously and we talked to some people, there were some financial concerns that they had about how they could do it, what the logistics would be and things like that. So the goal of this is to try to get at least basic interoperability in every PSAP. And our hope is to get everything, ordered by the end of this calendar year. So in that way, things could be delivered fairly shortly after that. Again, they'll arrive pre-programmed. They'll also come with power supplies. So you can just plug it into the wall and be ready to go. And they'll come with some coax and an antenna as well. The antenna that you would want may vary a little bit on your location, but you'll at least have something to get set up. So I'm sure there are some questions on that grant. So I will take questions on that and anything else that I've stated right now. Well, if you're a little shy, you can flag me down after the meeting. I'm happy to take any questions. So otherwise, that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
All right, next from the Office of Emergency Communications, Jim Lundstedt.
Good morning. Just a couple of quick updates for you today. Reminder that October is National Cybersecurity Awareness Month. I constantly preach about this, that cybersecurity is actually a shared value. In this region, we've had 3 PSAPs that have been affected by cyber attacks in the last 90 days. One community decided they didn't want to report anything to DHS or to the FBI and try to remediate it on their own. And I'd like to offer guidance that the only way that we as a nation collectively get better is where we share how these threats are achieved, how they attacked, and that way through our fusion centers and the FBI and the DHS National Cybersecurity and Communications Integration Center, we can try to put the pieces together and find a way to thwart additional attacks. The challenge with this is, of course, it's embarrassing to be the victim of a cyber incident. Don't be embarrassed. If it hasn't happened to you, it will. If you know somebody that's gone through it, it is embarrassing, but guess what? We get better through collectively sharing what happened to reduce the attack surface for that next incident. As I constantly preach, the biggest single attack surface is email. But it's increasingly becoming other things, social media, texts, you name it. And the overall message this year of the October Cybersecurity Awareness Month is, once again, stop, think, connect. We all are victims. I had a email last week that I nearly clicked on that appeared to be a legitimate request for IT support. It was not. It was really carefully crafted, and if you look carefully, you'll see spelling errors or things along that line that may give you a second thought. OEC will be releasing our fiscal year 2019 technical assistance catalog on October 15th, coordinating, of course, with the SWICs, but I would urge Blake, the board, if you see opportunity or things that we can assist with through our technical assistance program, we're always open to that. As Chris just reported, the ICS 300 is not a typical delivery for OEC, but when requested, we stepped up. I attended one day of the Cedar Rapids training last week, and we'll hopefully be able to attend the training up in Mason City. We had about 20 students in Cedar Rapids, very diverse group, government officials, firefighters, public works, elected officials, very well attended and good feedback on our instructors. The same team is tasked to instruct in Mason City. And the INTD course, I realize we're a little bit short of the minimum number. Chris has reached out to adjacent states to see if we can get additional attendees. If your PSAP has not had an incident tactical dispatcher trained, I think you will find the feedback and the opportunity has been very, very, very well received. When we first opened this in Kansas, we had 50 students apply in 2 days. We can't train that many in a single class. It's limited to 20. But this brings back a capability that we really believe is going to be a valuable capability for your particular county or local government. That's all I have this morning. Any questions for me, sir? Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you, sir. Okay, Tracy Bearden, do you have an update on Chapter 34 Administrative
Yes.
Code update?
We did meet and we developed 5 priorities, but we need a little bit more guidance from the council because initially when we started this committee, it was looking at the political subdivisions for hospitals. Then we decided, well, you only get so many cracks at Iowa Code Chapter 34A, so we decided to look at long-term, what do we want to see 911 program be? How do we want to kind of put that in the Iowa Code and make it better so our PSAPs get what they need to get done and it's codified in the code. However, once we came back with these 5 priorities, there was questions whether it was too much, and so I want some guidance. I kind of believe that you only have so many chances. They're not going to keep coming back and working with you. If we're going to do this, we should do it right. We also decided it was important to not do it this year, but wait till next year so we can work with the lobbyists, get all the groups on board, get that feedback, have everything prepared. So once the next legislative session begins, next fiscal year, we'll be able to be in line and have everything ready to go. So I'll tell you the priorities we did come up with, and then what we're thinking about is having breakout groups where if you have interest and you want to get involved, you can just work on that one priority. You can work on all 5 priorities if you want, so we could get more people involved. It's important that everybody has the ability to have input in it, and if you just want to participate by email, that's fine as well. The first priority is to define or better define the public service answering points in 911 Service Board, looking at other states and deciding how do we want this defined, how do we want the service board defined, who determines whether a PSAP exists, should the PSAP have a seat on the service board, and establishing agreements, making sure that everything's kind of more in line legally and that we have answers to questions that they're kind of unknown right now. Funding, allowable surcharge expenses. There's negative repercussions to having it more narrow, and there's benefits for having it broad. And so do we want to make it so we have specific instances, what's covered? Do we want to keep it broad so people can kind of interpret the way they want? Do we add available funding for PSAP expenses? Also adding specific timeframes for cutoffs for the state when they want to use money, so that's not just at the last minute. Right now, they have pretty much at that last kind of 24 or 40-hour period where they can say the priorities and how much money they're going to use, and then the rest is divided. Well, we would like to have more of like a 30 to 45-day discussion and notice to the PSAP so that they know. Political subdivisions, again, we've talked about that a lot. Miscellaneous technology, how do you get your subscriber name to populate and sell your phones? Who owns that alley data? Funding for cybersecurity for PSAPs. We're looking at that for being covered. And lastly, the 911 Council. The 911 Council is a council, it's not a board. Should it be a board? That was one question that was brought up. And the council membership needs to be examined. Adding other groups, who's not at the table that should be at the table, or who's at the table that maybe shouldn't be at the table. Just opening that conversation so we have appropriate representation and the people that we need at the table to make the decisions and provide that guidance. So that's kind of what we have now, but we just need that. Is this what the council wants? You were the ones that charged us with this, to look at Iowa Code Chapter 34A. So I feel that it's best to look at it as a whole, but if he wants it to be more narrow and just look at the political subdivisions or one of these other priorities, we could do that as well. So we're just looking for guidance, what you want the committee to do.
Okay, Tracy, could you put that into a document, what you just said?
Yes, and one reason I didn't send it out is because I wanted that guidance, but yes, I can send that out, and we're sharing it. We're going to share it at the APCO and the NINA conferences as well, and we're going to encourage you to just send it out high and wide to all of your memberships so people can get involved in the conversation. Because that's what we need. We need people to look at and say, you know what, I don't feel we're being represented appropriately. This is what we need. This is what's happened in the past and we don't want to happen. This is things that could be added that would be a benefit.
Okay, thank you. All right, any questions for Tracy? Okay, any legislative issues beyond that? Okay, I don't have any unfinished business. New business, we do have a couple of things. Jared Myers has something he'd like to say.
I just want to announce, it's been a pleasure to serve on the council. The Department of Public Safety has decided to make a change that'll be effective at the November meeting. We will be appointing Robbie Johansson from our Communications Bureau to serve on the council. I just wanted to notify the board, and I appreciate the opportunity to serve on the council. Thank you.
Thank you for your service. And then Mike would like to speak about, we do have a retirement that has come up. Mike will talk about that.
Thank you. Bob Seibert, no longer on the council. I think Monday this week was his last official day at work. I do have a new cell phone number. He was in the process, when I talked to him this weekend, of getting all his contact stuff rolled over to his new cell phone. But in the past, we have recognized, I don't know if there was any service requirement, but obviously Bob was one of the original council members. I think we get a wooden plaque, and so I guess, I don't know how the funding goes, if we have to make that an official motion to get a plaque made. I mean, the sheriff brought up one thing that had taken place, that our logo has changed, so we might have a little more expense with the plaque making company.
We'll have to look into that.
Yeah.
We've never done it since I've been around, so
Well, we did Dave Kaus.
I think that was actually funded by members on this board.
Is that how we did it?
I think
Okay.
so.
Okay, yeah, I don't remember.
And it came from Amana Furniture, and the turnaround on those are 3 or 4 days. So if that's okay, they're fairly, they're well made, and they don't cost a gold mine. But I just need to make sure that I'm putting the right things on it. So I will try to find out exactly what his service years were, and I'll be in touch with everybody as to what I find out, and then maybe throw out some ideas of what it should say.
Yeah.
But I can get that done in the next few days.
Okay, yeah, I didn't know if we needed a motion or whatever, but however we need to move forward, I think it's something we should do. And I think, like I said, I don't remember myself, but I think the council started about 91 or 92, somewhere.
I'll make the motion that the 911 council members will provide the funding for the plaque.
Yeah, it's going to be negligible, so, yeah. So I have that motion.
I'll second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you, Mike. I don't believe we have any travel requests. Okay. Any business from the floor? Not anything from the phone? Okay, well, could I see a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.